Hi, welcome to another edition of the Weekly Wrap, where we discuss news nuggets mined from the daily and weekly newspapers. I'm Cal Anderson, local activist, and I have a guest today, Noam Ron from the Hudson Group. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks, Colin. Thanks for having me.
So I understand you have local roots on the North Shore?
Yeah, that's right. So I grew up in Swampscott. I'm originally from Tel Aviv, from Israel. Grew up in Swampscott, went to school in Connecticut at UConn, and now I work for a family real estate development company in Boston. So still have kind of North Shore roots and make it up here fairly often.
Very good. How world-class city of you.
Yeah, exactly.
What brings you into Lynn now? I understand you're starting to venture into the North Shore.
We are, yeah. So as a company, we've focused primarily in Boston. Our last sort of most significant project was called Radiant at 120 Kingston Street, 25-story new construction project. So we really like the urban core there, but more and more we're looking out in the peripheral neighborhoods and areas and sort of mid-sized cities, kind of emerging or re-emerging cities like Lynn are catching our interest. So I'm up here fairly often just looking at new opportunities and just trying to learn about the market.
Well, it's very good. Being a North Shore butter in Swampscott, you have to drive through Lynn every day, and you've noticed the last few years there's some development going on.
Sure.
And there's some buildings that are just in need of somebody to take them and put some vision into it.
Yeah.
Now, what caught my attention with one of the projects was I guess they called it in general terms, the Dainty Dot building. It was a historical building along the Rose Kennedy Greenway in Boston. Mm-hmm. Can you talk about that project a little bit?
Yeah, happy to. So historically, that building was the Dainty Dot building. By the time we had acquired it in 2006, over half of it was actually demolished. So when the city put the central artery through, eventually, to bring through the Big Dig decades later, this building was sort of in ruins. So historically, it was a Dainty Dot building. When we got it, it made a lot of sense to sort of clear that out of the way and for new construction, especially with the Greenway. Kind of at that point was a new park system, kind of redefining the map of Boston. So today is known as Radiant, 120 Kingston Street. It's 240 apartments.
What I like about it is it's a model for what's going on in our city here. Yeah. Lynn has a lot of buildings that have been languishing for a while. They just need some kind of an impetus to develop it along with our history and our new millennium use. Yeah. And this is why we're reinventing our city. You probably know about our burgeoning restaurant Rose. We have Arts and Cultural District downtown. In fact, I've seen you at a few events.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's what's really drawing us to places like Lynn and other sort of gateway cities. As a firm, we've also done adaptive reuse properties, and we were talking earlier about a couple of the loft buildings in the Leather District, a historic neighborhood of Boston. In a lot of ways, the bones of that city and those cityscapes feel a lot like Central Square, which is really kind of more of our interest as far as kind of like dense urban type of areas.
The once and future Lynn.
Yeah.
We're all excited about it. I've been in town 17 years and I've seen a lot of change in just the last 10 or 12.
Sure.
And it's this sort of thing that's just getting us all excited.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you have any local ties still?
Local ties. My parents still live up in the North Shore. They live up in Swampscott,
right.
So I'm
here fairly often. So you still venture through here?
Yeah, I mean, and we're not far. We're in Boston, so we still have a good group of friends here.
Well, that's good. We got a few things to talk about, ripped from the dailies and a couple of weeklies through the news through the past week.
Sure.
Today's paper. Boy, there was some heroics Wednesday night. This happens in every city, Boston, Lynn, everywhere. Two people were trying to rob a convenience store on Market Street, I think Wednesday, and there was a heroic storekeeper who not only fought back, resisted their attack by knife, I believe, but he put him on the ground out front. Other storekeepers came, they held him down until the police came. So don't try this at home, but I'm glad this worked out well. Last week's paper, Swampscott's embracing the great outdoors. Did this happen when you were in school there? They're starting to have outdoor classrooms.
Discussion started there, yeah.
Yeah, this is where instead of just learning stuff out of books in classrooms, they're going out and looking at how nature relates to reality and living, etc. And it's fortunate to be in Swampscott where there's a lot of open space to use.
Sure.
So they're utilizing some spaces.
Something to be said about fresh air in the middle of a school day, right? Just to clear your head and go outside. outside for a few minutes.
And I just like the good news that the Lynn Item tends to put in once in a while. A woman in a wheelchair had a flat tire. It was an obsolete wheelchair. She went to, I guess we can say it, Mike Keekian, who works at the Western Avenue Auto Body, and he sort of adopted the mission and pro bono, I guess, found her a whole new wheel for her wheelchair. So I love happy endings like that. And did you read about this? We were talking about this earlier.
We talked about it. Something very similar happened in Boston as well.
In Brookline and Boston over the past several years, and last year, I guess, was the original prototype in Peabody. They have public pianos placed at strategic points throughout the downtown, just welcoming people to come and sit down and play. And I guess they're all individually painted by artists too, so it's a whole all-encompassing art event.
Yeah, very cool.
I see Lynn doing this in a few years. We've got some other interactive things going on.
Yeah.
Everybody knows about Whole Foods
of course.
now. Boy, we're the big consolidation of corporations. Amazon bought them. So does this mean in a few years we're going to have milk delivered by drone?
I'm not sure what it means. It's really interesting from a real estate perspective to see what Amazon is doing with retail and the way they're disrupting really their own business and reimagining, retail, real estate, what these big spaces mean in cities.
Well, the ferry's back. Governor Baker decided to include in the budget funding the ferry at least for this season into September. And it coincided with just perfect timing. We had the harbor filled with the tall ships, which just left town the other day, but it was always a nice week when they come back to town.
Yeah.
It stretches from Nahant and Swampscott all the way down into Boston.
Yeah.
And then there's all those events. And NECO planned. This article is interesting. NECO, which used to be in Cambridge, moved a few years ago to Revere. Right. Now there's a company going to put robotics in there, but I read the article a few times and nobody's really knowing where NECO's going.
Right.
So we're going to watch for this because we've got to have those wafers, and they do the little hearts every year for Halloween, remember?
Of course.
There's a Lynn gang leader sought by the FBI. This is the one that his name is Stephen Touch. And he was trying to be under the radar by doing youth advisory work. Huh. So just shows
he has
to
a
go.
soft side.
Yeah, either that or he was doing sleight of hand. And then the Everett teen arrested in the Saugus standoff the other day at the, I guess it was the Square Mall. Okay. Went into Dick's Sporting Goods, stole some guns. There was a whole lockdown for the day, a lot of drama. The other day, ECHO had a march. It was demonstrating for awareness of social justice. They marched from Zion Church in Lynn to the waterfront and then up to Swampscott.
Yeah.
Let's see what else we got. We only got about a minute left. Time flies, doesn't it?
Sure does.
So, anything you picked up from the news this week?
You should take us away if we only have a minute left.
Well, did you read this one? This page 2 story about fidget spinners named among summer hazards. Now, who would think that this little thing here would be dangerous? Well, all these little things do come off.
Yeah.
And I just say that parents beware. But they are kind of cool. I find myself just mesmerized by it.
For sure.
We kind of wrap this up.
Okay.
Do you know how we take this show home? You've watched it a few times.
I'm seeing some signs here, so I have seen it before.
I kind of like to have the guest do this now.
Okay.
So thanks, Noam Ron from the Hudson Group. He's bullish on Lynn. We're all bullish on Lynn.
Of course.
So why don't you take us home? That's your camera over there.
All right. Well, until next time, in every way and every day, keep loving Lynn.